How, where, when? All-American president died. From 1789 to today. From first president to till today. For what reason? All president died and which president is still alive? Start with first president. George Washington, the first president of the United States, died on December 14, 1799. He had been suffering from a severe throat infection and acute epiglottitis. Medical treatment at the time, which involved bloodletting and other practices, likely worsened his condition. Despite the efforts of his physicians, Washington passed away at his home in Mount Vernon, Virginia, at the age of 67. John Adams, the second president of the United States, passed away on July 4, 1826, at the age of 90. He died of congestive heart failure at his home in Quincy, Massachusetts. Remarkably, Adams died on the same day as Thomas Jefferson, his predecessor and political rival, making their deaths a notable coincidence in American history. Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, died on July 4, 1826, at the age of 83, also at his home in Monticello, Virginia. He had been in declining health for some time and was suffering from chronic illnesses, including pneumonia and kidney problems. Jefferson's death also occurred on the same day as John Adams, making it another significant coincidence in American history. James Madison, the fourth president of the United States, died on June 28, 1836, at the age of 85, at his plantation in Montpelier, Virginia. He died of heart failure, likely caused by complications from his chronic illnesses, which included chronic rheumatism and debility. James Monroe, the fifth president of the United States, died on July 4, 1831, at the age of 73, at his daughter's home in New York City. He died of heart failure and tuberculosis. Like Jefferson and Adams, Monroe's death on the 4th of July adds to the symbolic significance of this date in American history. John Quincy Adams, the sixth president of the United States, suffered a stroke on February 21, 1848, while he was on the floor of the House of Representatives in Washington. He was quickly taken to the Speaker's room in the Capitol, where he remained unconscious for 2 days before passing away on February 23, 1848, at the age of 80. The cause of his death was determined to be a cerebral hemorrhage. Andrew Jackson, the seventh president of the United States, died on June 8, 1845, at the age of 78, at his plantation, the Hermitage, near Nashville, Tennessee. He had been in declining health and suffered from various chronic illnesses, including heart and lung problems, chronic tuberculosis, and dropsy. These conditions ultimately led to his death from heart failure. Martin Van Buren, the eighth president of the United States, died on July 24, 1862, at the age of 79, at his home, Lindenwold, in Kinderhook, New York. He had been in declining health for several years and died of bronchial asthma and heart failure. William Henry Harrison, the ninth president of the United States, died on April 4, 1841, after just 1 month in office, making his presidency the shortest in U.S. history. Harrison delivered a lengthy inaugural address in cold and rainy weather on March 4, 1841, and subsequently developed a severe respiratory infection, likely pneumonia. Despite medical treatment, Harrison's health rapidly deteriorated, and he passed away at the age of 68. John Tyler, who became the 10th president of the United States upon Harrison's death, died on January 18, 1862, at the age of 71, at his home, Sherwood Forest, in Virginia. He died of a stroke. James K. Polk, the 11th president of the United States, died on June 15, 1849, shortly after leaving office, at the age of 53. He died of cholera, a severe gastrointestinal infection. Zachary Taylor, the 12th president of the United States, died on July 9, 1850, after serving for just over a year in office. The exact cause of his death remains a subject of historical debate. Some believe he died of acute gastroenteritis caused by contaminated food or water, while others suspect that he may have been poisoned. Despite these speculations, the definitive cause of his death is not conclusively established. Millard Fillmore, who became the 13th president of the United States after Taylor's death, died on March 8, 1874, at the age of 74, at his home in Buffalo, New York. He died of complications from a stroke. Franklin Pierce, the 14th president of the United States, died on October 8, 1869, at the age of 64, at his home in Concord, New Hampshire. He died of cirrhosis of the liver, likely resulting from heavy drinking and alcoholism. James Buchanan, the 15th president of the United States, died on June 1, 1868, at the age of 77, at his home, Wheatland, in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. He died of respiratory failure caused by complications of rheumatic gout. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, was assassinated on April 14, 1865, by John Wilkes Booth, a Confederate sympathizer, while attending a play at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. Lincoln died the following morning, April 15, 1865. Andrew Johnson, who became the 17th President of the United States after Lincoln's assassination, died on July 31, 1875, at the age of 66, at his home in Tennessee. He died of a stroke. Ulysses S. Grant, the 18th President of the United States, died on July 23, 1885, at the age of 63, at his cottage in Mount McGregor, New York. He had been diagnosed with throat cancer, and despite attempts to find a cure through medical treatments, Grant's condition worsened, leading to his death. Rutherford B. Hayes, the 19th President of the United States, died on January 17, 1893, at the age of 70, at his home in Fremont, Ohio. He died of complications from a heart attack. James A. Garfield, the 20th President of the United States, was assassinated on July 2, 1881, by Charles J., a mentally unstable man with a personal grievance against Garfield. Guiteau shot Garfield at a train station in Washington. Garfield was taken to the White House, where he received medical treatment, but his condition worsened over the next few months. He ultimately succumbed to his injuries on September 19, 1881, at the age of 49. Chester A. Arthur, who became the 21st President of the United States after Garfield's assassination, died on November 18, 1886, at the age of 57, at his home in New York City. He had been in declining health for several years and died of complications from a stroke. Grover Cleveland, the 22nd and 24th President of the United States, died on June 24, 1908, at the age of 71, at his home in Princeton, New Jersey. He died of a heart attack. Benjamin Harrison, the 23rd President of the United States, died on March 13, 1901, at the age of 67, at his home in Indianapolis, Indiana. He died of pneumonia and complications related to influenza. William McKinley, the 25th President of the United States, was assassinated on September 6, 1901, by Leon Czolgosz, an anarchist. McKinley was shot twice in the abdomen during a public event in Buffalo, New York. He was taken to a nearby house for medical treatment but died 8 days later, on September 14, 1901, at the age of 58, due to gangrene caused by his wounds. Theodore Roosevelt, who became the 26th President of the United States after McKinley's assassination, died on January 6, 1919, at the age of 60, at his home in Oyster Bay, New York. He died of a heart attack. William Howard Taft, the 27th President of the United States, died on March 8, 1930, at the age of 72, at his home in Washington. He died of complications from heart disease. Woodrow Wilson, the 28th President of the United States, died on February 3, 1924, at the age of 67, at his home in Washington. He had been in declining health after suffering a stroke in 1919 during his second term in office. Wilson's health continued to deteriorate, and he passed away from complications related to a stroke and other health issues. Warren G. Harding, the 29th President of the United States, died on August 2, 1923, at the age of 57, while on a trip to San Francisco, California. He died of a heart attack and was the 6th president to die in office. Calvin Coolidge, who became the 30th President of the United States after Harding's death, died on January 5, 1933, at the age of 60, at his home in Northampton, Massachusetts. He died of a heart attack. Herbert Hoover, the 31st President of the United States, died on October 20, 1964, at the age of 90, at his home in New York City. He died of internal bleeding caused by a ruptured intestine. Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, served 4 terms but died while in office. On April 12, 1945, at the age of 63, Roosevelt died of a cerebral hemorrhage at his retreat, the Little White House in Warm Springs, Georgia. Harry S. Truman, the 33rd President of the United States, passed away on December 26, 1972, at the age of 88, in Kansas City, Missouri. He died of multiple organ failure caused by heart failure, as well as other age-related health issues. Dwight D. Eisenhower, the 34th President of the United States, died on March 28, 1969, at the age of 78, at Walter Reed Army Medical Center in Washington. He died of congestive heart failure, a condition he had been battling for several years. John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States, was assassinated on November 22, 1963, in Dallas, Texas. He was shot while riding in a motorcade through Dealey Plaza. Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested as the primary suspect but was killed 2 days later by Jack Ruby before he could stand trial. Kennedy was pronounced dead at Parkland Memorial Hospital at the age of 46. Lyndon B. Johnson, who assumed the presidency after Kennedy's assassination, died on January 22, 1973, at the age of 64, at his ranch in Stonewall, Texas. He died of a heart attack, likely brought on by previous heart conditions and other health issues. Richard Nixon, the 37th President of the United States, resigned from office on August 8, 1974, amid the Watergate scandal, becoming the first U.S. president to do so. After his resignation, he lived a relatively private life and died on April 22, 1994, at the age of 81, at his home in Park Ridge, New Jersey. He died of a stroke and complications from a blood clot in his brain. Gerald Ford, who assumed the presidency after Nixon's resignation, died on December 26, 2006, at the age of 93, at his home in Rancho Mirage, California. He died of arteriosclerotic cerebrovascular disease, a condition that causes the arteries in the brain to narrow or harden, leading to a stroke. Jimmy Carter, the 39th President of the United States, is still alive. Ronald Reagan, the 40th President of the United States, died on June 5, 2004, at the age of 93, at his home in Bel Air, Los Angeles, California. He died of pneumonia, which was a complication of Alzheimer's disease, a condition he had been battling for more than a decade. George H. W. Bush, the 41st President of the United States, died on November 30, 2018, at the age of 94, at his home in Houston, Texas. He died of vascular Parkinsonism, a condition that had gradually worsened in his later years. Bill Clinton, the 42nd President of the United States, is still alive. George W. Bush, the 43rd President of the United States, is still alive. Barack Obama, the 44th President of the United States, is still alive. Donald Trump, the 45th President of the United States, is still alive. Joe Biden, the 46th and current President of the United States, is still alive. So, it was how all American president died. Hit the like button for all of them, and write down your favorite president name in comment below. Subscribe for more celebrity death videos.